question I want to ask you today is, are you an emotional eater? And if your answer to that question is yes, it may be that you find yourself eating to deal with uncomfortable emotions. Using food as a reward when you're happy, or craving sweets and unhealthy snacks when you're stressed. But don't worry, because you're not alone. I've been an emotional comfort eater all of my life. And today, I want to share with you how I broke my 50-year-old pattern of comfort eating, which helped with my 4-stone weight loss, which I have now sustained for 6 years. Hello and welcome to my Trilogy Life Coaching channel. My name is Diane, and today I want to share with you the strategies that have helped me to overcome my emotional eating habits on my journey to health, wealth and happiness. After completing my first health and wellness course in 2015, I discovered that there were more essential ingredients that I needed to find to maintain a healthy weight and a happy lifestyle. So the first thing you need to do if you're a comfort eater is to develop some awareness around your eating patterns, because awareness can be a most powerful aspect of change. And becoming more aware of how emotional eating plays out for you is the first step that you need to consider. Emotional eating is sometimes called mindless eating because we often don't think about what we're doing and we let our unconscious habits take over. Can you think of a time when you ate mindlessly? How did that make you feel afterwards? I know how I used to feel. Now, a mindful approach to eating can be helpful, but before you can put it into practice, you should become aware of how you feel right before you eat. And a great tool that I have found to help me become more mindful of how I feel is one that is used by Mel Robbins, and it's called the word wheel. It gives you a whole range of different words to help you express how you are really feeling, because it digs deeper just than I'm fed up, I can't be bothered, oh, it's been a rough day, I just feel down. It actually gives you many more words to choose from so that you can begin to connect with how you really feel. Print off a copy of the word wheel when you've Googled it and stick it on the wall so you can see it. And then the next time you head to the kitchen to raid the cupboard or the fridge just because you feel blur, you can look at it and choose some of the words to connect with how you're really feeling. The second thing that you need to think about in order to start overcoming your emotional eating habits is how stress plays an important part in emotional eating. It's really important to identify the current stresses that you are dealing with. And we all have different types of stress that we have to deal with at different times. And it's really good to recognise what is causing us stress and to express that to other people. So let's take a minute to think about some different types of stress we might be dealing with right now. Some stressors come from within. There's the stress that you put on yourself to be perfect, or there's the anxiety you feel when you want to confront a problem you're having with a friend or a family member. And other stressors come from outside of ourselves, such as the demands of your job, medical issues or family obligations or social pressures. Some stressors are within your control and some are not. Take a minute to think, can you currently identify any stressors that are in your own life now? The next thing we need to think about when it comes to emotional eating is that there are actually a number of different reasons why we eat. The first one, of course, would be to satisfy true hunger. And it's to fulfill that physical need to eat and survive. But another reason that we eat is to self-medicate, as we believe it will provide some relief for those stresses that we're trying to deal with. And the third one is a psychological or emotional need that generally has nothing to do with actual hunger. Emotional eating is a driving response to overwhelming feelings and emotions. Can you actually identify a time or times when you have used food to self-medicate? Think about that for a moment. So here are 4 ways to help you handle your emotional eating better. First of all, know your stressors. Identify those circumstances and emotions that lead you to emotional eating. Take steps to avoid them or at least to be prepared for them. For example, you could use that word wheel that I spoke about earlier. The second thing you can do to reduce stress is to exercise. And if you're physically fit, you're going to be more resistant to the effects of stress, and therefore you won't be wanting to self-medicate as often. The third thing you can do is to talk about your feelings with a person who can give you support. If you often feel guilt or shame or regret over your eating habits, you may want to speak to a professional counsellor or a therapist or even a life coach. And the fourth thing you can do is develop a practice of mindfulness to help you calm your mind and the body. You're better able to make lifestyle choices when you're calm. Mindful eating, which is about slowing down and paying more attention to what and how you eat, is a form of mindfulness. And we're going to be taking an in-depth look at how to eat mindfully or intuitively in next week's video. So if you don't want to miss that video, hit the subscribe button now to get an alert for when that video is posted. So let's talk about comfort food for a moment. You probably have enough personal experience to know what comfort foods are. They mentally bring us back to a more carefree time of childhood usually, but they're often high in fat, high in sugar, or both, and are what emotional overeaters usually crave when the tensions rise. Which foods do you turn to when you comfort eat? So one of the things that will help with comfort eating is if you can learn about intuitive eating. So intuitive eating means paying more attention to the natural internal hunger and fullness signals sent between your brain and your gut. These signals will help you determine when, what, and how much to eat. It's also trusting these signals, and we have to learn to do that. So how much do you feel you can or cannot trust your own signals? You'll know intuitively when to say, enough, I'm full. Your decision is based on hunger as well as the appeal of certain foods at certain times, but not on how stressed or emotional you feel in this moment. So intuitive eating empowers you to learn what your body feels like when you are truly hungry versus hunger that is instead powered by stress or the need for comfort. And when you understand and pay attention to the whys of what your body is craving, you'll have a better understanding of how to manage your emotional eating issues. Once you understand and trust your own natural eating cues, unless you have dietary restrictions, of course, you can give yourself permission to give in to a craving for, say, chocolate or cake, just as easily as you can give yourself permission to eat vegetables without guilt or shame. So here are some questions to ask yourself today. Am I an emotional eater? Very rarely, maybe sometimes, or nearly always. Do I eat in response to negative or positive emotions, or to both? And what steps can I take to be more aware of my emotional eating habits? Do I self-medicate with food when stressful situations in my life feel completely out of control? Which of the tips for handling stress am I going to try out in the next few weeks? And how can I try to be more intuitive with my eating over the next few days? So let me know in the comments your answers to any of the above questions. And also let me know which of the strategies I've talked about today are you going to try and implement in this next month. And remember, it's all about progress, not perfection. So don't get stressed. Take baby steps and work in changing 1 or 2 habits at a time. That's what I did. And 6 years on, I'm a happy, healthy weight and living a life I love. If you want to watch my free video series on health, wealth and happiness, then click the link at the end and sign up. That's it for today. And don't forget, I'm on this health, wealth and happiness journey with you, learning all the time as we move forward, each at our own pace, but better and stronger together. That's it for today. See you next week for an in-depth look at mindful, intuitive eating.